My name is Naomi Blake, and I'm 33 years old. My family thinks I was born in November. I wasn't. October 15th, 1993. I know this because I have lived through every single October 15th with that quiet, desperate hope that this year, maybe, they'll finally remember. They know my birthday too, just in a different month. For 30 years, they've been wrong with absolute confidence. The year everything changed was my 30th. That was the year I stopped quietly bleeding and started opening my mouth. Let me take you back. On the morning of my 30th birthday, October 15th, my alarm went off to the default ringtone, not a flood of happy birthday messages. My phone screen lit up with the usual digital noise, a LinkedIn notification, a furniture store promotion, an automated message from my bank wishing me a happy birthday in the most soulless font imaginable. My bank remembered before my mother did. I lay there staring at the ceiling, feeling that familiar ache settling behind my ribs. I told myself I was too old to care about birthday texts from family. I'd been telling myself that since around 24, after enough years of silence that pretending not to care felt safer than admitting how much it hurt. But 30 was supposed to be a milestone. New decade. Big birthday. The kind of thing that gets at least a lazy text with balloon emojis. At 9 a.m., my family still hadn't said anything. By noon, nothing. By 3, I had refreshed my messages so many times because I was sure my phone would file an HR complaint. Somewhere in the group chat I left 3 years earlier, I knew they were talking about something stupid and mundane. Recipes, neighborhood drama, my sister Emma's dog. Just not me. The old me would have waited the whole day, then gone to bed swallowing the disappointment like a pill. Instead, at 5 in the afternoon, I opened my contacts and called my best friend. "Hey," Sarah answered. "What's up?" "It's my birthday," I said, forcing a light tone. "Want to grab drinks tonight?" I refused to turn 30 in my pajamas, scrolling through other people's lives. There was a beat of silence. "Naomi, why didn't you say something sooner?" "Of course. I'll book us a table. Who do you want there?" "Whoever remembers I exist," I joked. "So, you, and whoever you drag along." My boyfriend Daniel texted while I was still on the call. "Happy 30, baby. You free after work? I've got a surprise." I smiled at the screen, that double-edged feeling of warmth and sadness washing through me. My partner knew. My friends knew. The people who'd chosen me knew. It was just the people who created me who couldn't be bothered to check a calendar. By 7, I was walking into our favorite Italian place. Dim lighting, cheap wine, the kind of red checkered tablecloths that are probably ironic. 10 people squeezed around a table clearly meant for 6. Sarah waved wildly. Daniel stood to kiss my forehead and pull out my chair like we lived in some old movie. "You're officially ancient," he teased. 30. Wow. "Next time I'm trading you in for a younger model," I shot back. We laughed. We ordered too much food. Someone ordered shots that tasted like liquefied gummy bears and poor life choices. We told stories that had nothing to do with my family. Work disasters, dating app horror stories. That one time, Sarah's ex locked himself out of his own apartment twice in 1 week. Halfway through dinner, Daniel slid a tiny cupcake toward me. Fancy bakery, single candle. "Budget's tight," he said sheepishly, "but you're worth at least one artisanal carbohydrate." I laughed so hard I almost cried. Everyone sang a slightly off-key, happy birthday, and it was ridiculous and perfect. For a few hours, surrounded by people who actually saw me, I almost forgot that the people who should have been there hadn't even bothered to text. Around midnight, a little too buzzed and wrapped in that warm, fuzzy haze where everything feels softer, we moved to a bar a few blocks away. More drinks, more laughter. At some point, Sarah took about 100 photos, me laughing, me and Daniel making stupid faces, the whole group crammed into frame like a college reunion. I walked home alone around 1 in the morning, heels in my hand, the city air cool against my skin. It was that strange mix of happy and hollow, the joy of being celebrated mixed with the bruised part of me that kept whispering, "It shouldn't have to be this way." At home, I flopped onto my bed, kicked off what was left of my dignity, and opened Instagram. I picked the best photos, one of the whole group leaning in, another of Daniel presenting the cupcake like it was a 5-star dessert, and one of me blowing out the candle with my eyes half closed. I typed a caption. "Turn 30, surrounded by the people who actually show up." I tagged everyone, hesitated, then hit share. For a second, I just stared at the screen. 10 seconds. 30. No lightning bolt. No divine message. Just a new post living out there in the world. I fell asleep feeling okay, not great, not ruined, just okay. The next morning, my phone was a graveyard of notifications. 47 comments, dozens of likes, friends, happy birthday, wish I could have been there. Coworkers, so glad you had a good one. Even my boss had commented, welcome to the 30 Club. I was smiling at my screen when I saw it. Mom. The word alone made my stomach twist. Her username, her profile picture, her comment, sitting there under my group photo for anyone to see. Naomi, your birthday's in November. Why are you celebrating early? I read it once, twice, a third time, as if the month might magically change if I stared hard enough. November. Not sorry I missed it or, oh my God, I forgot. She genuinely, sincerely believed I was celebrating in the wrong month. My mother. The woman who had been there when I entered the world, who'd signed legal documents with my date of birth, thought that date belonged to some other month. My throat went tight. I sat up in bed like I'd been slapped. In 30 years, they had never gotten my birthday right. I had always assumed it was laziness, busyness, the kind of casual neglect you can excuse if you try hard enough. But this was different. This was reality itself, bent into the shape they preferred. And she'd done it publicly, on my post, in front of my friends, in front of total strangers. I could have deleted her comment, pretended it never happened, sent her a private text saying, actually, Mom, it's October, and then absorbed the apology that would never quite reach the bone. For 30 years, that was exactly what I'd been doing, carrying the hurt quietly so no one else had to be uncomfortable. My thumb hovered over the screen. I thought about every October 15th that passed in silence, about Emma's birthday, March 12th, every year like clockwork, with professional photos and long captions about how proud Mom was, about the way even my bank had managed to get the date right. I was so tired of being the one who swallowed it. So I typed, it's October, Mom, same date for 30 years. I erased Mom and typed it again. It's October, same date for 30 years. No emojis, no softening, just the truth. My heart pounded as I hit post. The effect was immediate. Likes on my reply started ticking up. People who'd just said happy birthday were now reacting with shocked emojis and wait, what? Replies popped up. How does your mom not know your birthday? Oof, that's rough. Girl, I am so sorry. The reactions on Mom's comment shifted too. The laughing emojis were joined by grimacing faces, wide eyes, little digital winces. 7 minutes later, her comment disappeared. Deleted. My phone buzzed. Mom, why would you embarrass me like that? I stared at the text, that cold, clean feeling spreading through my chest. Not, I'm sorry. Not, I can't believe I got it wrong. Just humiliation. For her. I typed back. I didn't embarrass you. You posted the wrong month publicly. I corrected it. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Nothing. A minute later, another text, this time from Dad. Dad, your mother is upset. Of course she was. My mother's feelings had always been the sun around which the rest of us orbited. I stared at the message, thumb hovering, then finally wrote, okay. No apology, no backpedal, just okay. For the first time in my life, the embarrassment wasn't mine to carry. I set the phone down beside my coffee mug, hands trembling, not from panic, but from something quieter, heavier, relief. I had finally said out loud what I'd been screaming internally for 30 years, and there was no taking it back now. By mid-morning, my phone was doing its best impression of a beehive. Instagram kept refreshing itself. New likes on my comment, more reactions, more people chiming in. Friends I hadn't seen since college wrote things like, wait, your mom doesn't know your birthday? And, Naomi, that's messed up. Buried in all the noise was one tiny comment from a gray, faceless account. No profile picture, no mutual friends. I don't know you, but happy birthday, October 15th. I'll remember. I stared at that for a long time. A stranger on the internet had just done more for me in one sentence than my own family had managed in 3 decades. Acknowledged the date, wrote it out, promised to remember. My eyes stung. That was when my phone rang. Mom flashed across the screen. I watched it vibrate on the table. 1 ring, 2, 5. I didn't move. I let it go to voicemail. A minute later, a notification. New voicemail from Mom, 2:03. I made coffee first. I needed something in my hands before I pressed play. Her voice filled my kitchen, high and wounded. Naomi, I don't understand why you're doing this. Making me look bad in front of everyone. I made a mistake, okay? I got the month confused. It happens. But posting about it, letting people mock me, making it public like that, that's cruel. I raised you better than this. Your father and I are very hurt. Call me back so we can talk about this like adults. There it was again. She was hurt. She was embarrassed. The month was confused. Somehow, the 30 years of wrongness had been condensed into a single, harmless mix-up. My thumb hovered over the delete button. I pressed it. The silence afterward felt louder than her whole message. Dad texted again while I was sitting on the couch with my mug. Dad, you didn't have to correct her in public. I took a slow sip. She commented in public, Dad. 3 dots, nothing. 5 minutes later. We've been busy. Things fall through the cracks. I laughed out loud. The sound startled even me. For 30 years, Emma's birthday never falls through the cracks. No reply. I set my phone down and tried to breathe all the way into my ribs. The thing about finally saying what hurts is that once you start, there's no neat, quiet way to stop. Everything you swallowed tries to crawl back out at once. Around noon, my screen lit up again. This time, it was a screenshot from Sarah. Sarah, have you checked Facebook? I opened the app reluctantly. I wasn't even friends with my mom anymore. We'd had that argument 2 years ago, but she kept her profile public. It was part scrapbook, part brag board. There it was, posted that morning at 9:47 a.m. Happy birthday to my wonderful daughter. So proud of the woman you've become. Love you always. The timestamp? October 16th. 1 day late. Below the caption were old photos of me from who even knows when. A random childhood picture, a graduation shot. No mention of the fact that I had celebrated yesterday. No acknowledgement of the Instagram fiasco. Just a performance of motherhood delivered to the wrong day like a misaddressed package. And the comments. Aunt Rachel. Wasn't her birthday yesterday? Dad's coworker. I thought you said it was in November? Cousin Tyler. Not November Tyler, the other one. Aunt Claire. I watched this happen in real time and I am cringing. 3 grimacing emojis, 1 skull emoji. One person just wrote, "Oh no." 20 minutes later, the entire post disappeared. Deleted, like it had never existed. But Sarah had already screenshotted it. So had half the family. So had I. You can erase the post. You can't erase the pattern. My phone rang again. I hit decline. By late afternoon, I'd given up on pretending to work. I was half doom scrolling, half dissociating when the next message came in from a name I hadn't seen in years. Cousin Danny. We'd been close as kids. He lived 3 states away now. We liked each other's photos occasionally, and that was about it. Hey, saw your IG thing, you okay? I stared at the question for a second and then answered honestly. Not really, but also, weirdly, yes? 3 dots. Can I tell you something? Please. I've known for years they get your birthday wrong. My heart did something ugly. What do you mean? I was at your 27th, remember? I was in town for work that week. Sarah invited me. October, right? Big loft party, too much cheap Prosecco. I remembered him hugging me, saying, "Happy 27th, October, baby." At Thanksgiving that year, your mom mentioned she was sad she missed your birthday last month. I corrected her. Said, no, it was in October. She looked confused and said she was sure it was November. I could see it. That puzzled frown, the way she doubled down rather than consider someone else might be right. Aunt Linda told me to drop it. Said I was misremembering, that you never make a big deal about birthdays anyway. Why didn't you tell me? I thought you knew. It was so weird I assumed it was like some family thing you'd already fought about and made peace with. I sank back against the couch. Do you know why they think November? There was a long pause this time. The 3 dots appeared, vanished, reappeared. Yeah, I figured it out a few years ago. My birthday is November 15th. I read it 3 times. I think they merged us in their heads. 2 grandkids, similar ages, similar names. Easier to just flatten you into me, I guess. They never forget mine. Cards, calls, Facebook posts, right on time, every year. My chest felt hollow. They remember yours perfectly. They've never said anything to me on October 15th. Ever. I know, I've checked. I closed my eyes. Danny, who lived in another state, knew the truth more clearly than the people who saw me every holiday. You were erased, a small voice in my head whispered. Or worse, replaced. I opened Instagram again, switched accounts, and typed in my sister's name. Emma's profile was public, of course. Perfect grid, brunch photos, sunsets, gym selfies, her life curated and sun-drenched. I scrolled back to March 12th of this year. There it was, a photo of Emma blowing out candles on a ridiculous pastel cake, family surrounding her, Mom, Dad, our brother, even Aunt Linda. The caption from Mom. 30 years ago today, you made me a mother. I've been blessed every day since. Happy birthday, my beautiful girl. Posted at 7:03 a.m. exactly on time. I scrolled further. March 12th last year. Another early morning post. March 12th the year before that. And the year before that. 5 years back, every single March 12th was accounted for. Every year, Mom woke up knowing exactly what day it was and who mattered. I flipped back to my own tags, searched October 15th, found posts from friends, from Sarah, from old roommates. Not a single comment from my mother. Not once. I set the phone down like it might burn me. It's not forgetting, I said out loud to my empty living room. It's selective memory. My front door opened without knocking. Sarah burst in holding 2 brown paper bags. The smell of pad thai and spring rolls hit me before she did. Emergency carbs, she announced, kicking the door shut. I brought chopsticks and judgment. She took one look at my face and her expression softened. Okay, she said, walk me through it. I told her about the Instagram comment, the deletion, the voicemail, the late Facebook post, the comments, Danny's messages, November 15th, the merger. By the time I finished, my pad thai was cold and my throat was raw. That's actually insane, she said finally, leaning back against the couch. They literally combined you with your cousin because it was convenient? Apparently. And they remember Emma's birthday like it's a national holiday. Every year, I said, right on schedule. Sarah was quiet for a moment. Then she turned her head and looked at me in that way she has, when she's about to say something I don't want to hear, but need to. You know what the worst part is? She asked. Enlighten me. You're sitting here wondering if you were too harsh for responding publicly. I stared at her. You are, she pressed. I can see it on your face. You're worried you made a scene. You're worried you embarrassed your mom. You're wondering if you're the problem. Am I? The question came out smaller than I wanted. No. She didn't even hesitate. Naomi, you are the designated scapegoat. The quiet one. The one who doesn't make a fuss. They've trained you to accept scraps and call it love. That's why it feels wrong to finally ask for a full meal. I swallowed hard. She nudged my knee with her foot. Also, for the record, you didn't embarrass her. She did that all by herself. We ate in silence for a while, the kind that only exists between people who actually see you. At some point, my phone buzzed again. A DM from Marcus, my friend who'd somehow never left the family group chat. I opened the screenshot he'd sent. The family group chat was busy. Mom, Thanksgiving is November 28th this year. Planning time. Emma, I'll bring pie. Brother, I'll be there around 2. Dad, looking forward to everyone together. Aunt Linda, can't wait. Message after message about mashed potatoes and travel times and who would make what. Not a single mention of me. No, is Naomi coming? No. Should we invite her? Just a holiday being planned as if I didn't exist. Marcus had added a caption under the screenshot. Did they actually forget you exist? I stared at the screen until the words blurred. Let me guess, Sarah said quietly. They're planning Thanksgiving without you. Like I'm a dead pet they don't talk about, I whispered. I felt something inside me click. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a tiny, decisive shift, like a door hinge finally settling into place. I'm going, I said. Sarah blinked. To Thanksgiving? Yes. Are you sure? Because I can set up a fake emergency, pretend you got abducted by a cult, whatever you need. I'm going, I repeated. I'm going to walk in, look every single one of them in the eye, and ask them a question. What question? I met her gaze. When's my birthday? She stared at me for a long moment, then exhaled slowly, a half laugh, half sob sound. That, she said, is either the pettiest or the bravest thing you've ever planned. Maybe both. She raised her plastic cup of lukewarm Thai iced tea. To October 15th, she said. I clinked mine against hers. To October 15th, I echoed, the date I'm done letting them rewrite. Thanksgiving morning arrived cold and metallic, the kind of air that bites at your cheeks and tries to convince you to stay home where it's warm and safe. I stood in front of my mirror, tugging at the hem of my sweater, trying to slow my breathing. I wasn't going for turkey. I wasn't going to make peace. I wasn't going to be the bigger person. I was going to ask one question. Just one. When's my birthday? The simplest truth in the world, and somehow the one thing my family had never been able to get right. I grabbed my keys, ignored the vibration of a text from Daniel asking if I needed him to come with me, and walked out the door before I could second-guess myself. This was something I had to do alone, not because I didn't want support, but because for once in my life, I wanted to hear the wrong answer with my own ears. My parents' house looked exactly the same as it had every Thanksgiving. Cars lined both sides of the street. The yard was filled with inflatable autumn decorations Mom bought on sale every November. Warm yellow lights spilled from the windows, painting the driveway a fake kind of cozy. From the sidewalk, I could hear laughter, clanging dishes, the muffled background noise of people being comfortable in a house where I had never truly belonged. I let myself in with my key, a key they'd forgotten I still had. The smell of roasted turkey hit me first, then the voices. My brother was the first to notice me. He stood by the fireplace with a beer in hand, wearing the same smug grin he had in high school. Naomi, you're here. I'm here, I said, stepping inside and shutting the door quietly behind me. The room fell silent in waves. Conversations tapered off. Utensils paused mid-scrape, heads turned one by one. My mother appeared in the kitchen doorway, dish towel slung over her shoulder, eyes widening just enough to give her surprise away before she forced a smile. Oh, hi, sweetheart. We didn't know you were coming. You didn't invite me. Her smile faltered, stretched, then snapped back into place. Well, you're here now. That's what matters. Can I get you something to drink? No, I'm not staying long. That did it. The tension thickened instantly, like the air realized it needed to brace itself. My dad shifted uncomfortably. Emma's eyes dropped to her shoes. Aunt Linda whispered something to her husband. My brother took a step backward like he didn't want to be in the splash zone. I walked forward, calm and deliberate, placing myself in the center of the room. I have a question, I said. A simple question. Everyone here should be able to answer it. My mother crossed her arms. Naomi, this is not the time. When is my birthday? Dead silence. You could have heard a fork drop. My father frowned. Really? We're doing this right now? Say the date, I replied. Just the date. You can pick the month too, since apparently that's optional. My mother looked to my father, her jaw tightening. This is ridiculous. Why are you doing this? Because none of you got it right on Instagram, I said, or Facebook, or text, or ever. Mom took a breath, straightened her shoulders, and said with utter confidence, November 15th. There it was. The wrong month, the wrong day, the wrong everything. She said it like it was fact, like I was the one misremembering my own birth. I nodded slowly. Interesting. I reached into my bag, pulled out my wallet, and held up my driver's license for everyone to see. The birth date printed in bold letters. OCTH 1993. My brother squinted. Hold on, really? I turned to him. When's my birthday? I repeated. He rubbed the back of his neck. October something? Something, I echoed. Great. Solid. Aunt Linda stepped forward like she was entering a courtroom. Honey, this is a misunderstanding. We just mixed you and Danny up. Honest mistake. I blinked. An honest mistake you repeated every year for 3 decades? Her smile went brittle. People forget things. That's strange, I said, looking straight at Emma. They never forget yours. Emma swallowed hard, but didn't look up. I shifted my gaze to my mother. March 12th, right? Mom flushed. That's different. How? I pressed. Because Emma, she caught herself. Too late. Because Emma what? I asked quietly. Doesn't what? Make a fuss? Demand basic acknowledgement? Exist loudly enough for you to remember her month? Naomi, that's not fair. What's not fair is waking up on my birthday every year to silence, then watching you post elaborate celebrations for Emma at 7 in the morning, every single March. My father stepped forward. You're blowing this out of proportion. Am I? I held my license up again. Because this date has been the same since the day I was born, but none of you knew it. Not one. Mom threw the dish towel onto the counter. You embarrassed me online. What was I supposed to do? You were supposed to know my birthday, I said. Bare minimum, that's it. My brother exhaled sharply. Okay, fine. We're sorry. We got your birthday wrong. Can we move on now? I stared at him. Say it, I demanded. Say the correct date. He winced. It's, October 15th? And next year? October 15th. And the year after that? He sighed. Naomi. I stepped back, letting my gaze sweep the entire room. The people who raised me, lived with me, celebrated without me. I didn't come here for an apology, I said. I came for the truth, to hear it, to see your faces when you couldn't say a date you should have known since I was born. My mother's voice cracked. You're ruining Thanksgiving. No, I said gently. You ruined 30 birthdays. I turned toward the door. My father's voice followed me. So that's it? You're just leaving? I paused, hand on the doorknob. I'm leaving, I said, because I'm finally done begging people to remember me. I opened the door. Cold air rushed in. I'm spending today with the people who actually know when I was born. And I walked out without looking back. Sarah's house smelled like cinnamon and laughter and real warmth. Her mother pulled me into a hug the second I stepped inside. We're so glad you came, honey. Sarah's dad smiled from the kitchen. October 15th, right? That's your birthday? Yes, I whispered. Good, he said. Can't forget something important like that. Later that night, while washing dishes, Sarah's mother pulled out her phone and showed me a new calendar entry. October 15th, Naomi's birthday. Repeat every year. She smiled softly. There, now I'll always remember. I don't know why that was the moment I cried, but it was. Because sometimes the smallest kindness hits you harder than all the hurt that came before it. Thanksgiving at Sarah's house felt like stepping into an entirely different universe, one where people laughed without performing, where warmth wasn't conditional, where nobody treated family like a prize you had to earn. By the time dessert rolled around, I'd already been handed a plate of pumpkin pie, a mug of mulled cider, and 3 separate reassurances that they were so glad I came. For the first time in my life, Thanksgiving didn't feel like a test I was destined to fail. I fell asleep on Sarah's couch that night with a blanket tucked under my chin, the low hum of conversation drifting from the kitchen. When Sarah woke me to drive me home, she looked at me in that quiet, I know you look of hers. You did the right thing, she said. I nodded. I didn't feel brave. I felt hollow, light, unanchored, like something had been ripped out, and maybe that wasn't a bad thing. A wrong month card arrives. 3 weeks later, a small beige envelope appeared in my mailbox. My stomach clenched before I even picked it up. I knew that handwriting. My mother's perfect cursive. I didn't open it. I could see the outline of a Hallmark birthday card through the envelope. November 15th, printed on a tiny sticker their church gave out every year. On time, I muttered, tossing it straight into the trash. Right month, wrong person. Wrong month, wrong daughter. I didn't miss it. I missed the idea of what it was supposed to be. Daniel tries and understands more than I expected. My boyfriend, Daniel, didn't push me to fix things or call my mom. He didn't do that thing people do where they insist, but she's your mother, as if biology were a spell that could erase pain. Instead, he sat beside me on the couch one night, rubbing slow circles on my back while I scrolled past my family's latest posts online. They posted Emma's holiday photos again, I said. Do you want to block them? He asked gently. No, watching it happen in real time is weirdly clarifying. Daniel was quiet for a long moment. My ex, he said finally, went through something similar. Different details, same pattern. I turned to him. Lauren? He nodded. Her family forgot her birthday every year except the ones where they needed a photo for Facebook. It really messed with her sense of worth. I learned a lot from being with her. He hesitated. I think that's why I recognized that look on your face that night. The hurt, the confusion. It surprised me that hearing about his ex didn't sting. Instead, it made something settle inside me. Not jealousy, relief. He understood this wound because he had witnessed it before. He tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. You didn't deserve any of this, Naomi. No one had ever said that to me before. A stranger becomes someone real. 2 months after the Instagram fiasco, I was tagged in a photo on Sarah's story. Just her, me, Daniel, and a giant cinnamon roll we were pretending we'd share. 10 minutes later, I received a DM request. Jamie. Hey, weird question. Are you at the Willow Street Cafe right now? I looked around. Near the window stood someone I recognized in that uncanny, internet sort of way. Short hair, nervous smile, holding a cup of hot chocolate. No way, I whispered. Jaime waved, lifting their cup like a peace offering. I waved back. Sarah raised an eyebrow. Who's that? The stranger who commented on my Instagram, I said. The one who said they'd remember my birthday. Sarah gasped. No, absolutely not. That's so pure. Go say hi. I did. Jaime walked over, cheeks flushed from the cold. Hey, they said shyly. Sorry if this is weird. I just remembered the date. And when Sarah posted, I recognized you. Not weird, I said. Kind of perfect, actually. Jaime laughed, pulling a small wrapped gift from their bag. Happy, extremely belated birthday? Inside was a pocket calendar. On the first page, October 15th, Naomi. For dates that matter. I nearly cried into my latte. Emma's attempt, if you can call it that. In February, Emma texted me for the first time since Thanksgiving. Emma, can we talk? I stared at the message for 3 days. On the 4th, I replied, What date is my birthday? The typing bubble appeared, disappeared, reappeared. Then, Emma, October. What date in October? Long pause. Emma, I don't know. I exhaled slowly and typed. Then we have nothing to talk about. She didn't reply again. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt sad. Quietly, calmly sad. The kind that doesn't crush you, just shifts the ground beneath your feet. A year later, a birthday done right. My 31st birthday arrived with a flood of texts from Sarah, Daniel, my co-workers, Jamie, and even Sarah's grandmother. We had brunch. Sarah's mom baked a cake that said October 15th, never forget, in giant frosting letters. Her dad gave me a card with the date circled 3 times. Jamie brought a cactus for resilience. It felt ridiculous. Beautiful. Healing in a way I didn't know birthdays could be. My phone stayed silent from my biological family. For once, I didn't even check. The years that follow, time passed the way it does when you stop holding your breath. Holidays were spent with Sarah's family and with Daniel's. Warm, chaotic, lovingly imperfect gatherings where nobody asked where I should be. Daniel's mom knitted me a scarf with an N on it. His father handed me a beer and called me kiddo. Jamie became one of my closest friends, the kind who shows up at your door with soup when you're sick and sends you memes at 3 a.m. Meanwhile, every November 15th, like clockwork, a birthday card arrived from my mother. Same handwriting, same forced message, same wrong month. I kept one card in a drawer, not out of sentiment, but as a reminder. Some people never learn. Aunt Linda tries guilt. The only time I saw any of them again was a chance encounter at a coffee shop last winter. Aunt Linda ran up as if we were old friends. Naomi, hi, your mother misses you. I lifted an eyebrow. Does she know my birthday yet? Aunt Linda's smile dissolved like sugar in hot water. That's not fair, she whispered. It's the fairest thing I've ever asked. I walked away with my coffee and didn't look back. Present day. I'm 33 now. I celebrated my birthday 2 months ago, with 20 people crowded into Sarah's apartment, music playing, laughter spilling out the windows. Daniel made a toast that nearly made me cry. Jaime gave me a new calendar, this one with October 15th printed in gold marker. Someone asked, "Do you ever hear from them anymore?" I shook my head. No, but that's okay. Does it bother you? I thought about it, really thought. No, I said, you can't miss what you never really had. Later that night, curled up with Daniel under soft blankets, he brushed his thumb over my knuckles. Do you ever regret it? He asked, cutting them off. I thought about that too. Only that it took me 30 years to do it, I said. If they showed up tomorrow with a cake that said October 15th and a real apology, maybe that would mean something. But they won't. People who forget you for decades don't suddenly remember. They just get better at pretending. Daniel kissed my forehead. Well, he murmured, their loss. We remember. And he was right. Because family isn't the people who know your blood type. It's the people who know your birthday and show up every single time. The first snowfall of December came early that year. Daniel and I were walking back from the grocery store, carrying bags filled with cocoa mix and cinnamon sticks because Sarah's family had invited us over for their annual December 1st hot chocolate night. A tradition I'd been part of for 3 years now. Our footsteps crunched in the thin layer of snow. Daniel nudged me gently. You're quiet, he said. I shrugged, just thinking. About them? No, I said truthfully, not today. He smiled, squeezed my hand, and we kept walking. My life without them. Here's the part nobody tells you. When you stop chasing the people who never met you halfway, the world gets bigger. My holidays filled up with invitations from people who meant it. My birthdays became events, loud, messy, sweetly chaotic. Daniel's niece drew me a card that said, Happy Birthday, Naomi, with a stick figure wearing a crown. My coworkers brought cupcakes to the office. Sarah's grandmother knitted me a scarf with tiny pumpkins to celebrate your Octoberness, dear. All these small kindnesses stitched together made a life. A real one. A whole one. I didn't realize how heavy my childhood loneliness had been until it was gone. The unexpected message. One rainy Thursday afternoon, my phone buzzed while I was at work. A Facebook notification. Aunt Linda mentioned you in a post. My heart didn't sink. It didn't do anything, actually. I opened it with clinical curiosity. It was a photo from her church group, a Thanksgiving food drive. In the comment thread beneath it, someone wrote, Is your niece Naomi coming home for Christmas this year? Aunt Linda replied, She's chosen to estrange herself, unfortunately. Her mother is still heartbroken. I stared at the word estrange. So clean, so tidy, so conveniently free of context. I typed a private message. I didn't estrange myself. I asked a question. No one could answer it. 3 dots appeared, then vanished. A minute later came her reply. Aunt Linda. Naomi, don't start this again. Your mother is too upset to talk about it. I exhaled slowly. She's had 33 years to learn my birthday. I'm done teaching. I blocked her, not out of anger, but because I realized her job in the family was never to see me, only to defend the illusion of us. Running into Emma. 2 months later, I saw Emma at the grocery store. She froze in the cereal aisle, eyes wide, fingers tightening around a box of granola. For a split second, some part of me, the old, hungry part, thought she might smile, might say hi, might try. She didn't. She looked at me the way someone looks at a ghost they hope won't speak. I gave her a small nod, a neutral acknowledgement, human to human. Hey, I said quietly. Hey, she murmured, eyes darting away. How have you been? Fine. We stood there, two adults pretending we weren't strangers. I took a breath. Do you know the date now? She didn't ask which date. She knew. Her throat tightened. Her eyes dropped to the floor. No, she whispered. I still don't. I nodded. It wasn't cruel. It wasn't triumphant. It was simply true. Take care, Emma. I walked away. She didn't call after me. Chosen family traditions. Spring came early that year. Daniel and I planted herb seeds on the balcony. Sarah insisted we join her family's Easter brunch, even though we didn't celebrate Easter. Jamie dragged me to a pottery class because healing requires hobbies. Life kept moving. October 15th rolled around again, my 34th birthday. The night before, Daniel stayed up late in the kitchen, whispering with Sarah on FaceTime as they planned something small. Small for them meant 15 people, a backyard projector screen, and a banner that said, October 15th, forever and always. They even had matching t-shirts printed with the date. It was ridiculous. It was over the top. It was perfect. At one point during the party, Sarah clinked her glass for attention. To Naomi, she said, face glowing in the projector light. Who taught us that family isn't who remembers out of obligation? It's who remembers, because loving you is easy. Everyone raised their cups. October 15th, they chorused. I blinked hard so I wouldn't cry in front of 20 witnesses. Jamie handed me a napkin anyway. Just in case, they said. Daniel wrapped an arm around my waist and kissed the top of my head. You're loved, he whispered. I believed him. For years, I hadn't believed anyone. The last envelope. In early November, one last beige envelope arrived. Same handwriting, same address, same month. I held it in my hands for a moment, feeling nothing but a quiet, distant ache. Then I opened it. Not out of hope, but out of closure. Inside was the usual generic birthday message, but this time, under Love, Mom, and Dad, someone had added a handwritten note. 5 words. Wish you'd come home again. I stared at the sentence, at everything it didn't say, at everything it refused to acknowledge, at everything it pretended wasn't broken. I placed the card in the drawer next to the others, the drawer I rarely opened, the drawer that had become a museum of a life I'd outgrown. Then I closed it, slowly, gently, finally. Present moment, a new definition of home. Tonight, I'm sitting on Sarah's couch, legs tucked under me, while her grandmother knits beside the fireplace. Daniel is in the kitchen making hot chocolate. Jamie is arguing with Sarah about whether peppermint marshmallows are an abomination. I look at all of them, the laughter, the warmth, the ease, and I realize something simple and astonishing. I am home. Not the house I grew up in, not the people who forgot me. Home is the place where your birthday is remembered without asking, where your presence is wanted without qualification, where you never have to beg to be seen. Sarah's mom walks by and ruffles my hair affectionately. Don't forget, she says, smiling. October 15th. We're doing a big brunch next year. I laugh softly. They always remember. Always October, always loved, always home.